my wife and I, for our wedding, was all pizza and cookies. That's what we got because we're children. I can't eat them anymore because
I
for some reason I'm lactose intolerant all of a sudden. And
yeah,
every cookie is made with milk. So like your body changes. So I know it's probably not the best analogy, but it goes to Axel, the voice, everything changing, and just a kind of conversation about perspective. That was the Pee word today that I was using, perspective. So I
right.
get
Well,
you.
and I was going to say, like, and a huge thing to think about is these guys have been doing it for decades, for a long, and they do it night after night, and sometimes they do three in a row and one off, or they'll do, and back in the day they were doing more than that because the record labels and the booking agents, managers, whoever were booking the tour, they don't give a shit about always having trouble with his voice.
Right.
There's a lot, and fans even say this too, like, well, you're this trained singer, you're supposed to be able to do. No, that's not how it works. It's not
Right.
push the fucking shit out. It's like a basketball player. They can only play so many minutes, and you have to pull them out and give them a rest, and then they're not going to play another game right afterwards or 5 games in a row, and or even they have days in between to rest their body because the body just won't do that. So same with a voice. I mean, the voice is like, they were going night after night. I remember seeing a documentary of Axl Rose going, his voice was hurting. He was doing it night after night, and they had him booked like that. Michael Jackson had the same. They were booking him night after night. He was like, I cannot do that. But they didn't really give a shit, They said, hey, we got to sell these albums. So I think people looking at it from their perspective, from, a singer's perspective, totally different instrument. A guitar, you can get on it and you can play that chord, that note. It works every time. And guitarists get a little shaky or shitty if, hey, it's cold outside. My guitar can't be in the heat, right? It's going to bend. It's going to be out of tune. It's going to whatever.
Mhm.
It's very much the same with the voice. The voice, we have to do the same. We have to say, oh my God, it's humid out, or, humidity helps, but, oh, it's dry out, or it's this and that, and we have to compensate, or it's loud. I don't want to scream and yell over the top of it.
Mhm.
Um, the worst one, I think, was watching The Journey, Don't Stop Believing, with Arnell,
Mhm.
right, the singer, showing his story, how he got into it. And I almost, they talked about him as if he's like a set of tires. Like, we got a good 7 years out of him so far, and maybe we need to
Oh wow, yeah.
get a new guy. But so they get off of a show, and there's Arnell with a towel around his, or a scarf around his neck, and he's next to a humidifier, and he's trying to breathe it in. And those guys come in with cigars or wine or whatever they had, and, hey, great show, Arnell, have a good one. And they go upstairs and they're going to go party because they don't have to worry about their voices, like he does. And he's got to do this, sit next to the humidifier, so he's going to be able to perform the next night. And it is very much like there's such a bad side. There's a bad side to that coin that people don't understand. Like me having to go hide in a trailer. You think I wanted to do that? I wanted to go party with everybody else, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to do my job, and
Mhm.
get up there and perform for everybody who paid to get in. So, you got to look out for that. So I think, if people can understand that, there's a lot more care trying to take care of the because you don't know if you're going to wake up with a sore throat. It's like maybe waking up with a sore neck. You
Right.
wake
You
up and you
slept
can't.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't turn your head. You're like, oh shit. If that was a part of your job, you'd be in trouble. And that's the same. You wake up with kind of a rough throat or a sore one. You can only try to loosen it up, and you go out and you try to do the show anyway because you have to do it. You can't cancel one of those big shows that Axl Rose is doing, and then you're singing on a sore throat that might even damage it for the next few days.
That's
So then
right.
he has to try to bounce back as he's using his voice. So there's a lot of factors that, which I think is why he, is doing what he's doing, a lot of falsetto right now, because that's very mild on the throat. To
Okay.
go out there and go, welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. He's going to be able to do his 3 hours, which the voice fatigues after 3 hours. You go any longer than that, you're just damaging. So 3 hours is very challenging anyway, nonstop. So that's why they throw maybe a drum solo or kind of a little musical interlude. Why don't you do a guitar solo?
Yeah,
Give
yeah.
me a break.
Duff,
And,
you sing a song.
yeah,
But
right.
it's always like a short punk song. So is that much of a break? But yeah.
Yeah, they need to pick something else. They need to pick an
Yeah.
8-minute song. We want to
Duff,
do Stairway to
Duff, you
Heaven,
play
guys.
Freebird. They should
Yeah,
do
Freebird,
that.
Stairway to Heaven, something.
Yeah,
Give them
yeah,
something to work with. So yeah, so I think a lot of people don't understand like the demand. for that job. And I think a lot of people just go to this place of, well, that's what you signed up for, and that's what that's what your job is, and that's what you're supposed to be able to do. I saw Steve Perry in an interview, and it was I think Dan Rather there, and
Hmm.
let me turn on my light here. There it is. My computer went down.
Gotcha.
Screensaver. And Dan Rather brought up kind of that attitude to him, that Steve was trying to explain to him, man, it's tough to do. No matter how much I practice, no matter what, there's good and bad nights to it. And Dan had said, well, that's why you get the big bucks now, don't you? And and Steve went, and I could see in his face the frustration. He went, fuck it. I'm not going to say anything else to you, bro. You're a guy that doesn't understand that.
It doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to get it. Doesn't even want to listen. Like, yeah, I
Yeah, because
love.
that's a very cliche response. That's why you get paid the big bucks. That's what does that even? I know what that means, but that's not really like a authentic response to what he's saying, at least from what you're telling me. And I'm glad you brought up Arnel Pineda too, because I didn't bring him up last time. And he's somebody who was hired for his voice and singing like Steve Perry. And there was a video, I don't know, was it last year that came out? And he's in the crowd, he's engaged, he's singing, and there was all this criticism online about how he can't sing. And poor Arnel, he put it up to a vote. He put it out on social media. Said, if you want me gone from Journey, that I can't do it anymore, I will accept your decision. And of course, all the positivity came in, all that stuff. But it's like, oh my goodness, this guy who could sing, and so much of what I see, and you can tell me about, it's not that you're standing there singing like this is some sort of performance like on The Voice. He's in the crowd, or Axel's running around. David Lee Roth is doing his karate thing. There's so many other movements and emotions into it that you can lose your breath. You may not sound pitch perfect at that moment like you do on the record because you're doing live things in that moment. I wish I can credit this person. It was in response to the Axel part one that he sent me a video of Zach Wild. This is funny how it also goes into the guitar. Uh, Doing it in the audience, soloing in the audience with fans all around him. Looks so cool. He's like, watch this video. It sounds like shit. But if you were there, it was the most godly solo you've ever heard. So is that something that you also feel where it's live versus tape, or am I making too much out of it? Because I understand it was recently the anniversary of the 1992 VMAs where they did Welcome to the Jungle, and Axl's voice is like, oh my god, that could tear apart the heavens. It sounds so great. That's on tape. He sounds good there, but I think it's not as simple as that. I'm just curious your opinion on the cell phone footage versus being there.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and doing a song or two on the VMAs as opposed to touring night after night, totally different. Number
That too.
one,
That too.
you're preparing for that one. You got great mix in ear monitors. You're doing one song, two songs, medley, whatever, and you're off. But yeah, I so recently the weirdest thing is I went to a Brian Adams concert, and because I was doing a Brian Adams, I was asked to do a Brian Adams tribute. And this was my last tribute, just so everybody knows. I got back into doing the originals, and
Okay.
I didn't abandon it. I'm writing again.
I never heard of a Brian Adams tribute, so you could be the only one.
I thought so. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't. There was one maybe in Germany or something like that. That we you search them out and you go, hey, is this a good venture to get into? But so that helped me a lot with the raspiness of getting that kind of Brian Adams sound.
Mm,
And so I went and so we said, well, let's go see his show live. And I was really blown away at the way he sounded. I was like, wow, his age, he sounds amazing. So of course, I get out the phone and I snap a little bit to put on social media. And from what I'm hearing there in the room to where I get home, I pull up the video and I go, whoa, he's kind of out of key. And wow, it's not as good as I remember being there because, you're in a huge stadium. There's this huge PA. It sounds incredible coming out the PA. The sound waves definitely different coming out, from this huge arena with speakers to your ears as opposed to coming in this little microphone and then
yeah,
coming out a little speaker or on your computer later. It just changes the sound. And it may
right.
be more authentic to what's happening on the stage. He may not be hitting all the notes and maybe it didn't sound as good as but you're right. When I was there, I was in awe going, wow, man, he sounds fucking amazing if for his age, which he did. And even on the video, he still, it just didn't sound as good as when I was there, but he still sounded very good for his age and for doing it as long as he's been doing it.